Well, thanks, Costa, for coming along. It's awesome to have you here in the northeast, and yeah, we're really rapt that you could make tonight's Taste of Wodonga take two. Definitely getting a lot more community interest with your name and following attached to it, and yeah, we're very proud to have it as part of the Albury Wodonga Sustainable Living Festival program of events. So welcome. Yeah, it's great to have you here.
Look, it's great to be back, and I'm fortunate enough to have had a connection with the Sustainable Living Festival for, we're probably talking 6, 7, maybe even 8 years now. And I've been in and out at different times when they've asked me to get along and be involved with different projects. And this is a really big thing, because to create an app is kind of taking the idea of a food network to a very usable and reachable space that everyone can get hold of it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it is about information, and it is about showcasing stuff, but in a level way. It is not about top end or bottom end or middle of the range.
No.
It is about anyone can get on.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like I look at our region, or when I say local, we're talking about, I suppose, 100k radius, which the app actually picks up on. And you know, we have so many different producers. Some are really small, and some are, you know, sort of more middle size. And we've got businesses popping up left, right, and centre around that whole foodie, wanting to establish, I guess, their own little nook and cranny in what they're doing. And you know, from last event, we had a great time where we had 3 producers and 3 chefs or restaurants come together and share their stories around local food, and they had an entree, main and dessert that they paired up together with. But what was missing was, okay, fantastic, but where do we actually go now, and how can we find them, or how do we connect with them? We're lucky if they are part of the farmers market. The farmers market do a great job, but it's more, you know, day to day, where can we find them? Like, what restaurants are using their food, or what greengrocer is selling their produce? So
yeah, and it's about building that relationship, but you don't want the relationship just to be Saturday in terms of that relationship. You know, I've got to be at the growers market every Saturday. What if you can't get there? Does that mean you have to go without that wonderful product, you know, be it someone's eggs or be it someone's vegetables or whatever? And I like the idea that this is able to showcase every size, because looking forward, we need to have a range of producers of scale, like small scale, medium scale. We need resilience, and the only way we get resilience is to be able to promote the smaller players so that they can swim.
Definitely.
In the marketplace, and it's critical that we have those small players, because they are mobile enough to say, okay, well, that didn't work, or the conditions weren't right for that crop. We're growing this instead, or we've got another product.
Definitely.
And then people can say, well, let's keep supporting them, not just let them go under, because then if you want those quality eggs, you got to keep buying them. You know, but
definitely.
If you can't buy them one Saturday,
No.
they shouldn't go home with them. You know, they should come in and sell them, but why not be able to get them during the week?
Oh, definitely. And I think that's what's really exciting as well is, you know, you see these small producers and they say, you know, how can we be sustainable? You know, we want to turn, I guess, what's a hobby into, for some people, when I say hobby, a hobby that makes a little bit of an income, but to turn it more into a livelihood and have those business lines or business partnerships established with, say, a restaurant or a retailer, or if you're a farmer, you know, maybe it's your local butcher you want to sell into. So that's what we're really excited about. We eat local. Obviously, it's free for businesses to be a part of, free for people in the community to engage with. Uses social media, and that's something that's really exciting, because we want the community themselves. We want to start putting pressure on not pressure, but pulling on emotional purse strings, I guess, of how people feel about their food. Like, okay, I want to buy my food from this business because I know that person, I know their story, I want to be a part of that. And I think, you know, having a community member take a picture of the restaurant that they're eating out of and checking in or sharing that with their friends, they're actually doing a big part of that advocacy role, and that's what we're really excited about. Yeah.
Well, that advocacy, it's like kids teaching kids. When kids are taught something by another mentor, they listen to them like this. And this is exactly what you're doing here. This is a resident, this is a local saying, I put my name behind this. It's not some flown in celebrity saying, you know, we got to fight for the right to local. You know, that can have an impact, but at the end of the day, if someone I know says, I buy there, and they're willing to
connect with that,
put it up and say, I'm behind that story, then you really realise the importance of story. Yeah. And there's no end to story. You know, there's good stories everywhere, but they've got to be told, and they need a place to be told. And when you think that if you can create a platform where someone who's just maybe seasonal can do something really good and just go, that's it, that's my crop. And you get it between this month and that month. And then that's it. You create interest, you create anticipation, you get that kind of FOMO. You work the FOMO and you say, well, if you don't want to miss out, that's when we're on. And then they build a niche, and that niche is supported. So then if they go, okay, well, we've done well with that one seasonal crop, maybe we'll do a seasonal crop in autumn, something totally different. But our main one is spring. And then suddenly that hobby goes into becoming a cross-season business, and then it could become an entire annual business. Yeah. But developing the links to create the space for people to take small steps.
Yeah.
And to be backed by locals, so that there's the advertising budget is the people advertising.
You know, we've picked up in our region that marketing and putting yourself out there as a business, as a producer, sometimes there's a bit of a gap between how we can do that and how we can, I guess, reach different platforms. And so we're hoping this can really create or cement some of these smaller businesses as well in that, I guess, communication front. So farmers markets obviously do a big part of creating a place for smaller producers to be, and that's fantastic. That is that Saturday opportunity. But we're really excited to take that to another level. And if this is a bit of a test, if this works really well over the next 12 months and we can work with new businesses to come on the app, we're only at the starting point at the moment, we want to know if this is something the broader region around Albury Wodonga, with their other restaurants in other towns, both on both sides of the river, we're talking northeast Victoria and the Riverina, can come on board and we can create a bigger food bowl and a network there. And events like what we're doing tonight, Costa, are really excited because I think it actually takes what perhaps an app does in a digital form and puts it into a bit of a reality. And that's what we're hoping the two things pair up really well together tonight. People get that message. We really hope they take that home.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a nice way to create 3 dimensions out of an app. But I think accessibility is the key, because you want to shy away from the idea that local food is trendy, like trendy as in big coin and limited access, because you want to be able to say this is local food, you pay a fair price, and the farmer and the grower gets the money. So the bit extra that you're paying in the knowledge that the farmer's getting direct payment, they're not having to drop their price because someone's taken a big chunk out of the middle. You know, these are the key parts of the narrative, that you can say, yeah, we can have a nice evening, but this is every evening. This is everyday food. This is not something that we want you to just have on a special occasion.
No.
We want you to go out there and buy seasonal produce and turn it into that whole terroir feeling and say, Albury Wodonga food bowl. Let's identify it. Let's define it seasonally, and let's start to say, well, this is signature.
Yeah.
These are the signature berries, or these are the signature stone fruit, or this is the signature ground produce.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, let's put
go with it.
faces
I think
to that
it becomes
signature.
part of the weekly shopping list as well. You know, like, okay, we're actually going to go and get our fruit and veg from here, and we're going to go get our meat from here. You know, changing that direction and making that more of a local focus. I think too, Costa, if we can really cement the idea of what a food system is and getting the community behind that more and more. You know, we've got some other bigger issues as a region to take on around processing and distribution. And I think, you know, if we can create a demand and you know, tell the story about supply, we're going to have a better opportunity to take on some of those bigger issues, I think, as well, and looking at funding and support and things for our region. So I guess as a network as well, that's advocacy is a big part of what we need to do. So, yeah.
I suppose the elephant in the room is convenience. And you're up against the convenience factor, where there's become a culture of everything under the one roof. And changing that thinking and creating inconvenience, but making that comfortable, is the challenge. To say, okay, you've been sold this idea of an entity that supermarkets, everything is marketed at big, whereas what you're saying is...
And everything's all year round.
Actually going to look at this challenge of a food system and say, well, parts of it may seem inconvenient because of that model.
Yeah.
But that model hasn't been there forever.
No.
And if we challenge that model and say, well, let's shift the convenience via some inconvenience to say, well, you get this here, you get that there, you get that there. But in that process, you're experiencing an excursion around your food, not an incursion, where it's all just done in one spot. And that to me is where the app and the stories and the citizen marketing has a chance to drive the new narrative and say, we won't be sold convenience if it has these consequences. But you don't have to drum that. It can be
It's
can be the side effect of a good story around good seasonal produce at a good and fair price that rewards the farmer.
That's so important. Yeah. That's what we need to fight for. Awesome. Thanks very much for your time. It's awesome to have you here.
It's great to be here. Keep driving that food bowl, the local food bowl message.
Thank you.
I'm right there with you.
It means a lot.